Hello everyone, how are you doing? My name is Geffen or Reason. I'm an 18-year-old professional Valorant IGL from Israel, and in this video I will speak about everything related to aim duels, cursor placement, mechanics, movement, pre-aiming, all the different concepts and fundamentals. So let's talk about cursor placement. So let's start with the most fundamental thing. Your cursor should always be on head level. It's simple. The reason why is because shooting to the head does the most damage. Now, how do you know where is the head level? Well, different maps have different tells. For example, if I'm outside the main right here, this box is the head level. So if I'm putting my cursor like here, it's like at this head level. You start recognizing it by playing. You just need to play, you need to put your cursor in head level, and you need to start experimenting. You can experiment in deathmatch, you can experiment in ranked. But one of the best ways to train cursor placement and movement and pre-aiming and all the peaks, everything I will talk about in this video, is by simply doing what I'm doing right now, which is going into a custom game by myself. Okay, this is one of the most underrated ways to train everything mechanic related. Okay, cursor placement and movement are extremely important, and they are actually more important than having a good raw aim in Valorant. One thing I will mention though, it's always better to have your cursor a bit lower than a bit higher, because if you're a bit higher you will miss, if you're a bit lower you'll just shoot for the neck. So that's one important point that you should always remember. Right, let's get to the second part of cursor placement thing. We must understand what are common positions enemy will play in. So this is dependent on your rank, it's dependent if you're playing on Iron or on Radiant. It's also dependent if you're playing in a team, like what tier level you're playing against, okay? So first of all, let's think about us. If we are defending on Ascent and we are playing on B, where would we play? So if we have operator, sometimes we maybe hold this. If we're like a Jett or a chamber, we can play here, we can take a shot, we can TP out. If I'm Jett, I can sit here, I can take a shot, I can dash out. So as attacker, you want to try to understand these positions that the enemy will commonly play in, and you want to put your cursor where you think they will be. So if I think the enemy will be here, I will pick him like this. Okay, or here or here, I will pick like this, like this, like this, like this. I will get prepared. And the next level after this is, instead of picking him like this, I would already be prepared. So let's say I want to pre-aim this. Okay, let's say this is where I think enemy will play. I will put my cursor on the wall, not here, and then pick him. I would put my cursor on the wall, and then I would pick straight on his head, like this. Another example for this would be on mid link. If I want to pick shots, instead of picking like this, I would just put my cursor here, I would pre-aim, then I would pick him. Then my cursor is perfect on his head. So, for this you don't need any talent, you don't need anything crazy, this is simply about learning, okay? You need to learn how the map works, you need to learn the angles of the maps, the different peaks you take for it, alright? Now, to practice this, there is a few ways. First of all, and the most underrated one I would say, is doing what I'm doing right now. I'm in a custom game by myself, I have all the time in the world, I can just go and do cursor placement for the entire map. I just learn how to pick. Then I go here, I learn, okay, pick, pick, pick. All the different picks. I want to pick lane now, so I will learn how to pick lane. And then like this, pretty much you learn how to cursor placement the entire map. You can do it anywhere. You can do it middle. You just want to pretty much walk the map. Start getting used to the map, okay? For example, if I'm taking aim in, you want to learn the same thing. You want to learn it for the entire map. And for example, I go here. Again, I think enemy will play here, or enemy will play here. Let's see, Jett playing here, off angle, yeah? He's taking shot, he's dashing out. Or operator playing here, or Omen has one way here, he's controlling it, yeah? So this is the type of things we need to learn. Let's say I think Omen is playing here with one way, I go here, I pre-aim him. I think Jett is playing here, I can come close, I can surprise him. I go close, I wide swing crouch, spray him. So, just need to learn again all the different picks. This is only about time and learning, okay? Everyone can learn this. And learning this, learning cursor placement and pre-aiming, is more important than having the next raw aim mechanic of Scream, okay? That's all. Consistency comes from the things you can control, okay? And you can control cursor placement. Raw aim, sometimes you can have a good day, bad day, you can have bad sleep, you can have bad food maybe you eat. Like, there is different effects on your gameplay, okay? But cursor placement and movement as well, which is the next thing I'm going to talk about, is 100% in your control. And that is the most important thing for consistency. And consistency is everything. If you're able to drop 15 kills every game, it's better than having 35 kills one game and having 4 the next one. Consistency is the most important. That's how you progress properly. Now, let's talk about the next thing related to cursor placement. So you need to understand the different picks you can do in Valorant. Why is this important? Let's say I'm playing short and I'm holding mid link. Yeah? I need to understand where to put my cursor. So standard cursor placement, let's say, would be here. Right? But in this case, it might actually be a bit wrong. Because you need to think about how enemy will pick this position, okay? If enemy wants to pick short, usually people don't pick like this. They don't really do short pick like this. Or like this. Usually people swing it properly, or they come close to the wall and then they swing. Something like this, okay? Usually they put Omen smoke on middle and then they peek, boom. Yeah? So it would be more beneficial for me to put my cursor rather than here. I would put it a bit wider here, so I'm prepared for the swing enemy will do. I can give another example. If I'm sitting here and I'm holding top middle, enemy will put smoke on short, most likely, and then he will either pick like this, or he will just swing it. Right? So I need to be prepared for both of them. So in this situation, I would put my cursor in the middle. I would put it around here. So then if he wild swings, I have time to reset. And if he does like a mid swing or like a short swing, I still have time to reset. Alright, so let's talk about the different picks we can actually do. So like I explained here, there is the pick for short. Now let's talk about the names of them. So the normal pick will just be the cursor placement pick. So it's like this. It's just short picks. It's really small picks. These picks are meant for just clearing enemy. These are what I call short picks. Just like this. And then let's talk about the next pick. If I think there's a person playing lane holding me, the way I would pick him usually, if he's holding like this, is I would do what I call a crouch pick. So I would go like around the choke point or even closer to the wall. It's dependent. Usually I need to have a teammate watching for me market, watching for me here. Then I would usually go in the middle or even on the back wall, sorry, not on this one. And then I would pick crouching like this. So I would pretty much go wide. I would hold D hard, and I would crouch at the end. And now the reason for that is because I think about the enemy cursor placement. Enemy cursor placement will be like this if he's a good player. And then what I'm doing is I'm pressing D and I'm crouching past his cursor placement. So I'm here and his cursor placement is here. Let's say. So I'm going past it pretty much. You can understand. He's aiming here. Most likely. And then I'm exiting right here. See? So he will not be prepared to shoot me and I will have the advantage. Also, not only because I'm going wide, but because I'm crouching. So let's say his cursor placement is this. His cursor is here, but my head will be here. Now the next thing is wide swing. You do wide swings a lot when you think enemy has operator, because you want to mess up his cursor placement pretty much. So let's say, going back to this example, the reason why a lot of people wide swing is because if the operator is holding like this, or like this even, they want to swing and go past his cursor placement and shoot him fast. So that's why people do a lot of wide swings. Here I added the crouch. It's a habit I have because I always pick short like this. But yeah, this is how people do it usually. It's like, let's talk about different examples that people do wide swings in. Let's say maybe for example they want to swing city, they think there is operator, they come here, they swing. The best way to do wide swing is you first of all get close to the wall where the enemy's cursor placement, and then you go the widest. The reason for that is because if you are close to the wall and you run, then the enemy will not have time to react for the change. But if you are wide swinging wide, like this, then enemy will still see you, like easily. The whole point is that when you wide swing wide,
There.
this is your, like, with time to react, and when you wide swing close,
There.
you are closer to the angle, so you get past
There.
it. It's a bit hard to explain. It's just simply a fundamental of how Valorant peaks work, you know, how the game works. Now, I mentioned before that a good way to practice all of this is by going into a custom game by yourself, like I'm doing right here, and simply cursor placementing the map by yourself, walking in different areas, learning how to do different picks. This is something I used to do a lot. Not a lot of people do this, and it's actually very good. Now the next way to practice this is playing deathmatch with this specific focus in mind, okay? You play deathmatch and your focus is on cursor placement. It's on pre-aiming. It's learning how to predict enemy and how to cover different picks. Now, the next thing I will talk about that you should also practice in deathmatch and in custom game, in ranked, anywhere, is movement. So like I said, cursor placement and movement come together, okay? Now what is movement? Let's say you are picking the man, yeah? And your cursor is perfect here, yeah? Perfect on the guy. But if you run, you will not hit him. So, it's important to have the movement combined together well with the cursor placement. So, first of all, let's talk about, there's different fights you use different movement for, yeah? But, for example, let's say I'm having a fight, I'm playing here,
There.
and there's a person playing, let's say here.
There.
Okay, let's say I'm catching someone off guard. And let's say I'm picking market, yeah? So this is how I would pick market usually. And then I see the enemy here.
There.
If I miss the first shot on him, okay, then the way I would do my movement is I would miss, I need to move. Okay, I need to do bursts. So I shoot a few bullets, I move. The whole point in Valorant is that if you crouch, if you're fighting a person for a long time and you're crouching and spraying, you will die. A lot of the times you will die. Because if you are crouching and spraying, an enemy is moving a bit, you cannot move anymore. If you are stuck in crouch, and you are easy kill. Because if you are crouching and spraying, you just look like easy target. You can just move, one tap you. So the main things we need to understand how to shoot in Valorant is you should always either tap or burst. Yeah. So tapping is like this, and then bursting is 4 bullets, 4 bullets, 4 bullets, like that pretty much. So the reason for that is because if you spray and if you crouch and spray, you are committing to the fight, meaning that enemy can just move one step, and because you are crouching and committed, it's easy kill for enemy. So it's important to just tap and burst mostly. Now there is some situations where you can spray. It's very situational. It's a bit hard to explain overall, but you should just learn to find the balance. Okay. Also, spray transfer is something that I think is also very situational. Alright, let's talk about one more important concept, and that is called counter-strafing. So, what counter-strafing actually is, it's the fastest way to become accurate after moving. So, like it says, counter-strafe. Now, I will give an example on what it actually is. So, if I'm holding A, I will just tap D to cancel the previous A animation, A movement. If I'm holding D, I will just tap A. Now the reason why it's important to learn is because you are faster cancelling the animation this way rather than just letting go of the A or D key. Let's give an example on the door as if it's a person. If I'm just letting go of D key, it would look like this, and the first bullet would miss, whereas if I would counter strafe, the first bullet would hit. So let's go back to the B main pick we spoke about throughout this video. So of course if I would just run, I would not hit him. If I would just let off A, then the first bullet would miss, and then if I would counter strafe, I'm instantly accurate. So these few milliseconds are extremely important. Some fights you would win or lose based on that. So like I said before, the best place to train these things are in custom game by yourself, like I'm doing right now. You can do it in deathmatches. Deathmatches are probably the best way to train movement because you are just doing it versus other players in real time, and you would have all different type of fights and movements to train. Now one more thing about the counter-strafing. Like I said, I would also use counter-strafing to clear angles. So this is my cursor placement. I'm holding A, tapping D, holding A, tapping D, holding A, tapping D, and I do this everywhere. This is how I do my cursor placement pretty much. I combine the pre-aiming we spoke about, I combine the crouch peaks, the different peaks, I combine everything, but for the actual course placement, counter strafing is extremely important. Even we are going back to this peak. Just put time and train everything we spoke about in this video, and I can promise you, you will improve an insane amount. These are the fundamentals for everything related to mechanics and movement, course placement, everything pretty much. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, turn on notifications to be instantly aware when I'm posting a new video. And also, if you like the way I'm explaining, I'm offering one-on-one coaching services. So feel free to DM me on Twitter, or I might even open a MetaFi page, we will see. But that's all for this video. Thank you very much, and see you next time.